The Hard Shoulder with Kieran Cuddihy
with Nissan
on News Talk.
It gave me great pleasure earlier today to sit down with Domhnall Gleeson. He of the famous Gleeson acting clan. You'll know him from a whole host of movies, from Star Wars, some of the Harry Potter movies, About Time, the Peter Rabbit movies, Black Mirror. I could go on. I met him earlier today in Bewley's Cafe down on Grafton Street ahead of the big coffee morning social for the Irish Hospice Foundation. It is happening next month. Hugely important event in their calendar. I started by asking Domhnall how he became involved with the hospice.
So my father's parents, Patricia and Frank, they both passed away in the hospice in Raheny at different times. I saw the journey they went on there. My grandmother was there for, in the scheme of things, not too long before she passed away. My granddad was there for months, actually. He was right on the line, and I saw the difference in quality of life between what we were able to give them at home and just saw the burden lifted from them after they went in there, and lifted from us in terms of just the pressure of the concern of the care, and then just being able to talk to them as your granddad again, and as your grandma again, when they're going through the toughest part of one's life, I assume, and just saw the care of the people at the hospice, how much of themselves they gave to the work and to the people who are living and dying there, and just thought it was the most beautiful, amazing thing that they were doing, and have wanted to be involved ever since. So, you know, I've donated, and I've done that over the years, and then I've helped out with a couple of the coffee mornings, because that's their biggest fundraiser of the year, is the coffee morning. So yeah, and that was with the hospice in Raheny, but the coffee mornings are for hospices all around the country.
What would have been your preconceptions about hospices before you went there?
It's an interesting thing. I think I just thought of them as, and this, I mean, I was a young man now, cut me slack, but exactly. But I thought of them as just sad places where people went in and a couple of days later they were gone, and that was basically, I don't know, like some exit door or something like that, and that there was a grimness to it. And being in there, of course, there's a lot of sadness, and this people losing people they love, but the love that's there from the people who work there, how special they make everybody feel, that's like, it's very, very inspiring. And getting my grandparents slightly turning from patients back into your grandparents again, there's something about that, not just a patient, but we were looking after my granddad towards the end, and just the concern about wanting to get the meds right, get the things right, is everything okay, feeding him and all that.
Emotional or mental bandwidth.
Exactly.
You're investing that in medication, and
if you're new to it,
everything.
You worry all the time that you're getting that stuff wrong. That's just your main concern. And then all of a sudden just going in and that's taken care of, and granddad's happier than he's been for the last 8 months out in the house, because just the way he's made to feel there, and all those connections kind of forming once again, or forming differently. We had a great time with him in the house, but it was amazing. And so, because I knew nothing about it before, and then knew a reasonable amount about it afterwards, and because the pandemic has been so devastating to the people who work at the hospice, keeping that love alive in there became extra hard, I think, I'm sure. And how hard it's been for their fundraising, and they need the fundraising everywhere in the country. Knowing that, this seems like a perfect time to get involved again.
And if those are your preconceptions, was there a reluctance on the part of your grandparents to go in? Because there's this kind of, like you mentioned, being at home, there's a real emotional attachment to wanting, I think, to be at home. And
it seeming like a scary place, and the hospice also do a lot of out there as well. They look after people.
I think that people might have of. It's always sad. There's always kind of an element of grief when you leave a place.
Yes.
When you leave a house, even. I think we can kind of understate the impact that can have. To be leaving a place knowing you're never coming back because you're going to die.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I'd be very well.
No,
I'm very capable of dealing with that.
Yes, and everybody's journey is different, and I wouldn't even want to say how my grandparents felt about it, because the truth is I don't know how they felt at the time. That was their private journey, and they didn't share everything with me, but I've also recently known somebody who's in a hospice, and she went in there almost for a break. She didn't go in there. That wasn't the end of her life at the time. She went in there, and it was a break for her from all the medication she'd been on in the hospital and all the rest of it. It was like care in a different way. And when she came back home, it was like she'd gone on holiday or something like that.
Yeah.
It actually gave her a break and relief. And so that was a different experience of the hospice. They also, a lot of what they do is look after people in their homes as well, is go out and help people on site, So they do a lot of things, and they do a lot of things very well, and they do a lot of things that nobody else can do. So their place in Irish society is vital.
Do you think that people in that situation, that they should be granted the opportunity to choose the means and manner of their own passing?
I mean, yeah, I mean that's a deeper question. I mean that's a deeper question in one way, but I like, if it were me, I'd love to be able to say I'd love to get into the hospice, but the hospice will take the people who need it, who need the care the most. Like, you don't pay to go into a hospice. It's not a money, which is again why you need to get money to them. But it's if you get into a hospice, you're in a weird way very lucky, and to get in. So absolutely, if it was up to me, that's where I'd go. Yeah.
The argument, though, that I guess that we are going to be engaging in this big kind of public discourse about death over the next while because of assisted dying legislation that's kind of being debated in the Dáil, and the role of kind of hospices and geriatric care and all of that will end up inevitably kind of getting swallowed up and be part of that discussion. And I just wonder about your own views on whether that's an option that should be given to people.
I don't know. Is the truth of it? I'm not sure. Like, I know how I would feel about it. It is no, and again one quick answer. Like, it's not a it needs to be this way or it needs to be that way, as far as I'm concerned, because also my real life experience of it is based around a few particular instances, and I think the abstract of what you feel is right can be very different to the reality of if you're living with somebody who wanted to do that. You know what I mean? Like if they wanted that for themselves, that would be different than me making a decision over here who's never seen that up close.
I think a lot of people will have a similar answer.
I know, and yeah. Especially it's a tricky one, but that is such a kind of
an understatement. But it's easy in the abstract. It is,
as it is with anything that's really serious.
It's suddenly different.
And again with something that you don't, if you don't know it yourself, if you haven't lived with the detail, then I think it's almost impossible to speak on it. I'm sure there are plenty of people from the hospice here today. I'm sure they would have a much more interesting take on it than I would.
Well, is it September 21st is the big coffee morning? Yeah,
but you can do it any time around there. So you send in, you let your local hospice know that you want to do a coffee morning. They send you bits of posters and coffee, and they send all this sort of stuff, and you can have it with 2 people, and you just each give €2 to the hospice, or you can have it for as many people and have a big gathering and turn it into sort of an event. Any time around there. The 21st is the day they've scheduled, but if that doesn't work for people, they can do it around then. And it's just about raising, I think they try to raise about 2 million a year, and the pandemic just obliterated their ability to fundraise in that way. And so it's about trying to get that back on track and get them the money they need. Yeah.
This is now the part of the interview where I say, listen, tell me about the projects coming up.
I know.
Yes. We can't have that discussion because of the strike, and there are rules in place that you must adhere to.
Yeah.
Listen, let's talk about the strike then. I know for a lot of people kind of here it is happening over there.
Yes.
But, it does affect people living and working in this country as well. So listen, what are the reasons for it?
Well, so it's SAG after our own strike, and I'm a member of SAG. I've worked in America a lot, and so I'm a member of SAG. So there will be a lot of Irish actors who are not a member of SAG. They will be a member of Irish Equity or UK Equity. So that's the kind of its effect on Ireland. The people in the industry working in Ireland depends on who's involved, and depends on how it was funded, and depends on the actors in it. Like, in terms of how it affects here, it is actually something that for the most part is happening over there. But as I'm a member of SAG, I'm not working on anything or doing anything, or even talking about anything, because the whole point at the moment is cutting off the supply line to the studios and the people who make content, the people who make like movies and TV and things for streamers. That's that's the work that is being struck.
And the nature of the dispute, is it about the money that artists and people working in the industry get as a consequence of their work, or because
that's one of the things,
AI and
so it's about the whole contract that for the next few years. So it's about it's about so many different, it's about every aspect of that contract, but I think two of the areas and two of the important things that really matter to SAG and it seems to the studios is the nature of how you get residuals now that streaming is the way, and that they hide the success of shows and stuff like that on streaming. Like, they keep that data for themselves, and not having access to that data limits the amount of residuals you can get and you can demand, and the transparency of where the residuals for actors come from. I'm very lucky as an actor in terms of how much work I've done over the years, and like the financial ramifications of working a lot. Yeah, most of the people in the guild, they're the ones who really get absolutely done over by residuals going away. But like, the contract contains a lot of different things about like how much is contributed towards pensions and healthcare and all the rest of it by the studios when you work with them also. So like, that's all also incredibly important. And then the AI is another aspect of it. Sorry, I've actually had a lot of coffee today because we're in Bewley's, and so I'm talking way faster.
No.
And in a very, very fractured way. I'm just like, so this is all over the place, but I'll blame the coffee. The AI is the other thing. Yeah.
Can I ask, like that? So that is happening, as you say, in the States, and you remember, because you've worked there. I mean, do we do enough in this country to protect and promote our artists and creators? Because we're a pre-budget season, so all of this kind of gets talked about. Sure. There's kind of a survey out today that kind of paints a pretty stark picture for kind of people who are, up and coming in various creative industries.
I've not seen that survey.
It essentially, I don't think there'd be anything in it that you know.
Surprising.
You know what I mean? It is very difficult, maybe until you reach a certain level of success to scratch a living together. And there are a few supports. And then we had another pre-budget submission yesterday that suggested, as part of supporting people in the industry, everyone who turns 18 in Ireland will get like a 200 quid voucher, like they do in Germany, this culture pass.
Right.
We spoke to Willie White from Dublin Theatre Festival about it. So it's a great idea. And so I just wonder, I'm sure with this happening in the States, it would cause you and others who are based here but have a foot in kind of both jurisdictions to think about the level of support that people in the industry here get. We're kind of very proud.
We will always
want yourself and others, but I wonder, do we do as enough as a country to kind of encourage others?
I'm sure we don't. I think the truth is that the like choosing to be in the arts is a mad way to make a living. If you were doing if you were making a choice based purely on the odds of being able to support yourself, the arts would not be the first place to look generally, and that's a great pity, because it's a fact. A lot of great artists have never been artists as a result, because they don't have. Again, I was very lucky growing up. Both my parents, I was able to continue living at home into my 20s when I wasn't making a lot of money as an actor. I didn't have the pressure of rent saying, you have to do this job. Obviously my father's an actor. I got insanely lucky in so many different ways that allowed me to continue going when I would not have been able to continue going. And so the fact that I stayed the course is down to so many different things. I also got lucky early on in terms of did a couple of jobs that did okay and things built from there. But yeah, of course, going into, I can only really speak to my line of work because I don't know the reality of trying to be a painter or anything else. But yeah, I know lots of talented actors, even my age, who do not make enough money and are not looked after enough or protected enough, because I look at the contracts that I would be on under SAG, and even though we need those to be so much better to protect the people in SAG, they are still generally a much better standard of contract than are open to the people in the UK and Ireland, because there's UK equity and Irish equity. Did that answer the question, or have I just gone on another caffeine-fueled insane rant?
No. It's
Did I stay on topic? I don't know.
Caffeine fueled, but not
Hospicecoffeemorning.ie. I don't.
Don't know. Listen, it is a pleasure, and you're right to mention that at the end because that is why we're here. So
Yeah.
September 21st is the official day, but you can do it any time around then.
Or you can just donate. You can also just donate, and the money that you donate and that you raise for locally stays local. That goes to your hospice, so it's not just spread out into the pot. It goes to your local hospital.
Well,
so you
really
can see where it's
speaks to
going.
the parochial nature of Irish people.
Of everybody. No, but it's nice. It doesn't just disappear into the ether. It's like it's going down the road and it's helping people in your community.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So you can help the people of Kiltartan's Cross. Anyway, listen, Donald, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was Domhnall Gleeson. We got up a little bit earlier this afternoon down in Bewley's on Grafton Street, head, as we said there, at the end of the big coffee morning that is happening in September. And if you want to find out any more information, hospicecoffeemorning.ie is the website. You can donate through that website. You can find out all the details to donate or how to set up your own coffee morning. And it doesn't have to be on September 21st. It could be any time around then. You can call 0818 995 996 either to find out. So 0818 995 996, hospicecoffeemorning.ie. And thank you to Domhnall Gleeson for sitting down a little bit earlier with us.
The Hard Shoulder with Kieran Cuddihy.
With Nissan.
Weekdays from 4 on News Talk.